Morning all. Alright, so just the two games tonight in the National Hockey League, so the preview will be at the end of this video because there's just the two games. It doesn't need to be its own video. So starting off with news of the day, Toews is staying in Colorado. And so he was going to be a UFA this coming summer. That's not going to happen, so it's a 7-year extension. The cap hits $7.25 million. That's a deal. It's an absolute deal for the Colorado Avalanche, a team that with that cap hit, according to Cap Friendly, they are over this year's cap. They're not over what would be next year's cap, but they do have some cap concerns going forward. But Toews' contract is not a problem, and so Devon Toews is sticking around in Colorado. I'm sure Avs fans are excited, and I've already seen a couple other fan bases not very happy to see such a discount being given by Toews to the team. And that's the thing. Players don't have to give that discount to the team. They don't have to be completely understanding of a cap situation that their team's in. But when you've won a Stanley Cup, you tend to get guys to stick around for less money because they want a chance to win another Stanley Cup. And Colorado is seen as being positioned to win another Stanley Cup. So keeping Toews in the fold will absolutely help. Getting on to another defenseman here, Jared Spurgeon for the Minnesota Wild. According to Dean Evison, he is still week to week. He's not close to skating. So he is working out in the gym, but Spurgeon has not been on the ice, so it's going to be a while before we see him back in action for the Minnesota Wild. Based on last night's game, I mean, as long as they got Gustafsson, they're good. They allowed way too many shots last night, but Gustafsson's pretty good. So if you were looking for a suspension for Hathaway after the kneeing incident against Werenski, I'm sorry to tell you it has been a fine instead. It's a $5,000 fine to Hathaway. It looked scary at the time. It looked like Werenski could be out for an extended period of time. Knee on knees, they are brutal, and you can absolutely destroy somebody's knee. I've always thought, too, for the person giving it, there's some danger there, too. But anyways, Werenski is likely out 1 to 2 weeks, so it is not as bad as it could have been. They've recalled David Jiricek, and that's why you send down the youngster that doesn't need to be or doesn't need to clear waivers to go down before the season starts. Otherwise, you waive somebody you might lose, and then you have Jiricek, but then that player that you might have needed that you waived. Anyways, there you go. Werenski's only out apparently for 1 to 2 weeks, and it's nowhere near as bad as it could have been. So it's going to be brutal not having him for a couple weeks if you're a Blue Jackets fan, but at least it's not as bad as last season. Although on some level, I would think there might be alarm bells going off of here we go again. We've just started the season, and already we've lost a top 4 defenseman. Daniel Alfredsson is rejoining the Ottawa Senators. This was known to be a thing when Michael Andlauer took over, that Alfredsson was close to that bid and that he would be rejoining the team. And they haven't decided what his role is going to be yet, but it looks like it's going to be in player development. So all the best to Daniel Alfredsson and the Ottawa Senators in this endeavor. And for Alfredsson, it's nice to see him return to the organization. Never should have left. And so hopefully this means that everything's great between Alfredsson and the team. Puljujarvi. Yep, Puljujarvi. I've mentioned him all summer, have I? And there's a reason. He's a UFA, and he had double hip surgery over the summer. So he's hoping to be recovered enough within about a month's time in order to sign a contract with the National Hockey League team. Wants to resume his NHL career. He did not have a very good run after being traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. And before that with Edmonton, of course, he had his struggles as well. I will be interested to see if anybody signs him. I would think it'll be league minimum, probably a 2-way contract. And if that's not appealing to him, then he would likely get signed over in Europe. But we'll see once Puljujarvi's healthy where he ends up. So like I said, we just have the 2 games tonight in the National Hockey League, and they're both early games. Alakazam. The numbers appear on the board. So it's 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We've got the Arizona Coyotes starting their season against the New Jersey Devils. For the Coyotes, Vejmelka is going to be in net tonight, which means it'll likely be Ingram tomorrow. Hayden, I am interested to see how Hayden's season starts. Remember, the second half of the season last year, Hayden, Keller, and Schmaltz had an amazing run. And that line was quite good, one of the best lines in the league. So I'll be interested to see with Hayden and Keller, and I only allow myself 3 names, that's why Schmaltz isn't up there. But I'll be interested to see how that top line starts against the Devils. and, how they compete when it comes to being against one of the fastest teams in the league. The Devils, of course, 1-0 with that win over Detroit, which, from what I can tell, had no controversy whatsoever. Jack Hughes had 2 goals in that game last night. Siegenthaler had 3 assists. Toffoli with a helper. And so New Jersey, if they can win on back-to-back nights, they'll be 2-0 to start the season, which is a decent little start for them. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. A matchup as old as time. I think this is the 66th matchup between Crosby and Ovechkin, if I was reading that right. Yeah, they played each other a bit. So Pittsburgh's 0-1 already. They don't want to be 0-2. So while it's Washington's home opener, Pittsburgh won't care. Rust had a goal in their last game. That is, I think, the 3rd straight year where he's had a goal in their season opener. Eller had an assist and he looked good, and this is a chance for him to play against the team that traded him last year at the deadline. So we'll see how things go with Eller against his former teammates. And Erik Karlsson, not a grand start to things. He didn't have a point, and he was a -2 in his debut. But it does take some time to get accustomed to new teammates and new strategies and all of that. So we'll see if that starts to kick in tonight. On the Washington side, it comes down to Ovechkin as he resumes his ridiculous chase for Gretzky's goal record. I still say he gets there, but we'll see how this season goes, how long it's going to take for him to reach that mark. Tom Wilson. Wilson, of course, the key is having him healthy for as long as possible this season, while still having Wilson go out there and play a style of hockey which can get a guy hurt. So we'll see how things go for the Caps, because they don't have the kind of depth that some of the other teams in the East have, and they're on the older side as well. Backstrom being an example of that too. Backstrom, of course, in terms of production, I don't know if he's going to get back to where he was pre-hip surgery. And so we'll see how things go for Backstrom out of the gate to start the season. But, it is tough coming out of hip surgery. I've mentioned this many times over. I'll say it again here. Usually when a player's had hip surgery, which is part of the reason why Puljujarvi's out, I believe it was hip surgery for Ethan Bear as well, right? It can be tough to get that foot speed back, and hips are really, really key for the whole skating thing. So hopefully Backstrom has a full 82-game season and puts up about 65 points. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.